trip didn't stick. Cause when running away is what you're known for, you can't expect the run the door. Cause there's no lie, ain't no lie, there's no lie that'll save you now, save you now. Hear me out.
Good evening and happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome aboard. I went back and got the 2016 deposition. Been saying it, Ghislaine Maxwell, and then I put it into transcription. It's a French name, and I'm butchering it. I don't even think the S. Okay. Anyways, before we get started with the transcription, Northern Michigan, Traverse City this evening. Walmart.
But hold on, I'm recording all of this real quick.
11 people stabbed.
Do we have a location of where that patient is at on North? I just tied in with our staff and they haven't heard or seen anything in the dock area.
The behavioral health in this country seems to be eroding. I was reading an article the other day. Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, quiet suburb outside of Tulsa. And over the course of 2022, 2023, and this year, complete and disturbing pattern of family annihilations. 3 years, 3 families. In 2022, firefighters responded to a house fire on South Hickory Avenue. Inside, they found 8 dead, 3 adults, 5 children. Brian Nelson shot his wife Diane and 6 of their kids before setting the house on fire and killing himself. He left a handwritten note referencing religious beliefs and a need to protect his family from a corrupted world. 2023, in the same little town, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, Annette Hammock, 48, and her 17-year-old son were shot and killed. Her husband, Philip Jason Hammock, survived a self-inflicting gunshot and was arrested. He faced 11 counts of first-degree murder, but was ruled incompetent to stand trial. He remains under psychiatric care. And then this year, in May, in the same town, police conducted a welfare check at a home on North 82nd. Inside, 20-year-old Alyssa Shippey dead. In another room, her 16-year-old brother Logan and the family dog, both shot dead. The shooter was their father, 58-year-old Rodney Shippey, who then turned the gun on himself. Rodney's wife Lisa had died in a suspicious house fire in 2022. After that, his home deteriorated. They had no running water. Trash was piling up. Neighbors noticed Rodney's mental state was slipping. These incidents, I don't think, are random. The breakdown of mental health, domestic violence, and isolation in this country. But with that, we're going to listen in to the transcripts. Thank you for joining. This is from 2016. I summarized at the beginning, and I did a who's who, so everyone can catch up, including myself, because I was drinking heavily in 2016 and never read through this. So let's get started. Oh, before we do, on my other account on X, I did this trend where you ask Grok which celebrity has visited your profile. And this is the result I got. And then Eva started interacting with Grok, and it even got weirder, but yeah, okay. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can find it. You know what I can find real quick?
Act like you're all that. Here's a cookie too and a present.
Okay. Here we go.
Narrative of the deposition. This deposition is a key part of a civil lawsuit brought by Virginia L. Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell, alleging that Maxwell facilitated Giuffre's sexual abuse by Jeffrey Epstein when Giuffre was underage. The deposition took place on April 22, 2016, in New York, and lasted from 9:04 a.m. to 6:43 p.m. It was conducted under oath, with a videographer and court reporter present, and designated as confidential. The questioning focused on Maxwell's relationship with Epstein, her role in hiring staff, including masseuses, her interactions with Giuffre, referred to as Virginia Roberts in the transcript, and allegations of recruiting underage females for Epstein. Maxwell repeatedly denied any knowledge of illegal activities, claimed Giuffre was lying, and refused to answer questions about consensual adult interactions with Epstein on advice of counsel. The deposition included frequent objections from Maxwell's attorney, discussions of flight logs, emails, police reports, and specific individuals, with Maxwell often stating she had no recollection or denying involvement. It ended with statements about unanswered questions and confidentiality. The tone was contentious, with Maxwell accusing Giuffre of being a fantasist and liar, and the attorneys debating the scope of questions, for example, whether they pertained to sexual trafficking or private consensual acts. Exhibits like police reports, emails, photos, flight logs, and message pads were marked and discussed, often to challenge Maxwell's recollections. Maxwell described her role as managing Epstein's properties, hiring professional staff, for example.
One interruption, and then I'll let it go. This is only about an hour, so it's not going to be super long like the other ones. Some of them other ones were about 2 hours. Before, as the photos came up, I'm reminded, back in 2020 or 2021, a woman reached out on X, and I didn't have a big X account, and I tried asking, she was looking for help. I may have already posted this again, but I'm going to put it up here again. She was autistic, and she was like 18 at the time, and she recalls being at a camp in northern Wales. And she recalls, she had pulled up a picture. She had thought that Ghislaine, I'm butchering the name, was here at the camp, and she pulled up an old photo and sent it to me. Not a digital photo, just a regular old photo. I don't know. It looks maybe, I mean, the back of her hair looks similar. I haven't really gone back and researched what her body type would have been in 2010. It looks maybe a little too thick for her, but this was at a camp or event in northern Wales, 2010. And the woman was looking to reach out to the FBI and share this photo. I don't know if she ever got in touch with them. This was back before I got with everyone in the true crime community. So, without further ado, here's the transcripts. Let's go.
Example, architects, cooks, gardeners, and occasionally finding masseuses from spas, insisting all were adults. She admitted meeting Giuffre as a 17-year-old masseuse but denied recruiting her for sex or witnessing any underage activities. Discussions touched on Epstein's planes, properties, and relationships with figures like Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew, but Maxwell denied knowledge of wrongdoing. The deposition highlighted Maxwell's limited recall of events from 1992 to 2009 and her insistence that Giuffre's claims were fabricated for media attention. Who everyone is. Based on the transcript's appearances, roles, and mentions, here's a list of key individuals, including their identities, roles, and relevance to the deposition. Virginia L. Giuffre, also referred to as Virginia Roberts, the plaintiff in the lawsuit. She alleges that Maxwell recruited her at age 17, claiming 15 in some accounts, to work as a masseuse for Epstein, leading to sexual abuse and trafficking. Maxwell denies this, calling Giuffre a liar and fantasist. Giuffre is the central figure in the questioning, with Maxwell questioned about meeting her at Mar-a-Lago, her age, and her activities. Ghislaine Maxwell, the defendant and deponent. She worked for Epstein from 1992 to around 2009, managing his homes, construction projects, and hiring staff, including masseuses. She denies recruiting underage girls, witnessing sexual activities, or participating in abuse, claiming all staff were adults. Maxwell is British-French-American, a pilot, and founder of Terra Mar, an ocean conservation charity partially funded by Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, the non-party central to the allegations. Described as Maxwell's employer and associate, he owned multiple properties, for example, Palm Beach, New York, New Mexico, U.S. Virgin Islands, and Plains. Maxwell denies knowledge of his alleged abuse of underage girls, including Giuffre. Epstein had a non-prosecution agreement in 2008 for sex trafficking charges, listing co-conspirators, including redacted names like Sarah Kellen and Nadia Marcinkova. He funded some of Maxwell's ventures and was involved in business with figures like Les Wexner. Sigrid Macaulay, lead attorney for the plaintiff, Giuffre. From Boies, Schiller and Flexner, she conducted the examination, asking about Maxwell's role with Epstein, interactions with Giuffre, and allegations of recruiting underage girls. She objected to instructions not to answer and noted plans to seek court intervention for unanswered questions. Meredith Schultz, co-counsel for Giuffre, from Boies, Schiller and Flexner, present but did not speak in the transcript. Emma Rosen, paralegal for Giuffre's team, from Boies, Schiller and Flexner's New York office, identified but did not speak. Brad Edwards, attorney for Giuffre, from Farmer Jaffe Wissing Edwards Fistos and Lehrman. He briefly spoke about being excluded due to confidentiality but left the room. He was involved in earlier subpoenas against Maxwell in 2009. Paul G. Castle, attorney for Giuffre, present but spoke only in appearances. Jeffrey S. Paliuca, lead attorney for Maxwell, from Haddon Morgan Foreman. He made numerous objections to form and foundation, instructed Maxwell not to answer questions about consensual adult activities, and designated the deposition as confidential. Laura A. Menninger, co-counsel for Maxwell, from Haddon Morgan Foreman, present but did not speak in the transcript. James Krista, videographer from Magna Legal Services, opened the deposition and noted the time and end. Leslie Fagan, court reporter and notary public, administered the oath and certified the transcript, in the non-dialogue section. Redacted names, for example, Nadia Marcinkova, Sarah Kellen, and others. Several individuals are redacted, but from context. Nadia Marcinkova, alleged co-conspirator in Epstein's non-prosecution agreement. Maxwell claims she met her but doesn't know what she did for Epstein, denied sexual involvement, and has no recollection of flying with her. Sarah Kellen, alleged co-conspirator. Maxwell denied knowing her role or observing her activities. Other redacted names appear in police reports and emails, likely underage victims or associates, but Maxwell denied knowledge of any underage involvement. Other mentioned individuals. Bill Clinton, mentioned as a client or associate of Epstein. Maxwell denied knowledge of his involvement in abuse but confirmed Epstein had a business relationship with him in the 90s. Prince Andrew, referenced in Giuffre's allegations. Maxwell denied recruiting Giuffre for him or witnessing abuse. Les Wexner, Epstein's client. Maxwell denied knowledge of their relationship details or house transaction. Emmy Taylor, mentioned in message pads. Maxwell denied knowing her. Johanna Seoberg, mentioned in police report as bringing girls to Epstein. Maxwell denied knowledge. Jean-Luc Brunel, accused of providing underage girls. Maxwell denied witnessing him bringing girls or knowing about it. Stephen Hawking, mentioned in emails. Maxwell denied he participated in underage orgy. Alan Dershowitz, Maxwell's friend, discussed Giuffre as a liar in emails. Ross Gow, Maxwell's press agent, involved in statements denying Giuffre's claims. Philip Barden, Maxwell's lawyer, involved in statements. Epstein's staff, for example, pilots like Larry Vizowski, David Rogers, house managers like Juan Alessi, Alfredo Rodriguez. Maxwell denied knowledge of underage activities or redacted details. Giuffre's mother brought Giuffre to Epstein's home. Maxwell talked to her while Giuffre gave a massage. Maxwell's mother, cited as ill, explaining Maxwell's absence from a 2009 deposition. The videographer, we are now on the record and recording. This begins disc number 1 in the deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell in the matter of Virginia Giuffre versus Ghislaine Maxwell in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. Today is April 22, 2016. The time is 9:04 a.m. This deposition is being taken at 575 Lexington Avenue in New York at the request of Sigrid Macaulay of Boies, Schiller and Flexner. The videographer is James Krista and the court reporter is Leslie Fagan. Will counsel state their appearance and whom they represent and then court reporter swear in Ms. Maxwell? M.S. Macaulay. My name is Sigrid Macaulay with my colleague Meredith Schultz. We are with Boies, Schiller and Flexner. We represent Ms. Giuffre. Mr. Edwards. Brad Edwards. I also represent Ms. Giuffre. Mr. Castle. Paul Castle. I also represent Ms. Giuffre. Mr. Paliuca. Jeff Paliuca and Laura A. Menninger on behalf of Ms. Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell. Sworn in M.S. Macaulay. Good morning. I'm going to explain some of the rules that will happen with respect to depositions. Have you ever been deposed before? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have not. M.S. Macaulay. What is going to happen here? We have a court reporter and a videographer. What they do is take down the words that we say, so when I ask you a question they will record what you say in response to that. So we have to be mindful that in order for them to do their job, we can't talk over each other. Another issue you have to be wary of is that in a response, you can't give a non-verbal response. In other words, nodding a yes or no. They need to hear verbal response so they can record it on their transcript. So that's important for you to remember as we go through the day. If you forget, I will be sure to remind you. Is there anything that would prevent you from giving truthful testimony today? Ghislaine Maxwell. There is not. Ms. Macaulay. You are not on any medications or anything that would inhibit your ability to remember or give truthful testimony? Ghislaine Maxwell. I am not. Mr. Paliuka, could you identify the assistant in the room? Ms. Macaulay. This is Emma Rosen from our New York office. She is a paralegal. Ms. Macaulay. Ms. Maxwell, can you please state your address for the record? Ghislaine Maxwell. Currently. Ms. Macaulay. What is your date of birth? Ghislaine Maxwell. Redacted. Ms. Macaulay. When did you first recruit a female to work for Mr. Epstein? Mr. Paliuka. I object to the form and foundation of the question. I believe this is confidential information. I ask anyone who is not admitted in this case be excused from the room, please. Ms. Macaulay. So the response to that question would. Mr. Paliuka. The subject matter of this question is confidential and I'm designating it as confidential. Ms. Macaulay. I just want to make that clear for the record. Mr. Edwards. So we don't delay the deposition, I will step out of the room, but I think it's important to lay the record that. Mr. Paliuka. I'm sorry, you are not admitted in this proceeding, so you are not entitled to make any record. If Ms. Macaulay wants to make a record, she can. Mr. Edwards. I can make a record right now. Mr. Paliuka. Maybe we should get the judge on the phone and talk about it. Mr. Edwards. The record will be short. This is the precise reason why Ms. Giuffre wants me in this case, and I'm unable to effectively represent her at this time because I am unable to have access to the confidential information, which includes apparently the entire deposition of Ms. Maxwell. But for the sake of not further delaying this, I will be outside the room. Ms. Macaulay. Thank you. Ghislaine Maxwell. I would like to just wait for him to leave. Ms. Macaulay. That's fine. Ghislaine Maxwell. I would just like to clarify the address. I'm in the process of selling the house, so while I still receive mail there, it's not my actual physical address. It's in the process of being sold. It still requires some final paperwork to be done. So just for the purposes of clarity, Ms. Macaulay, do you have a new address where you will be living? Ghislaine Maxwell. I do not. Ms. Macaulay. For the purpose of the record, if there is something I ask you that you later remember something else or need to correct your testimony in some way, you can do that. Just let me know what it is and we will go back to that question. And can you clarify? Ghislaine Maxwell. Of course. I just wanted to be clear. There is still some paperwork pending for final release, but it's in the process of sale. But I don't have another address currently, so whilst that should still be of record that the mail could be forwarded there. So for purposes of clarity, I wanted to be clear. Ms. Macaulay. I appreciate that. So, Ms. Maxwell, when did you first recruit a female to work for Mr. Epstein? Mr. Paliuka. Again, I object to the form and foundation of the question. Ms. Macaulay. You can answer the question. Ghislaine Maxwell. First of all, can you please clarify the question? I don't understand what you mean by female. I don't understand what you mean by recruit. Please be more clear and specific about what you are suggesting. Ms. Macaulay. Are you a female? Is that the sex that you are? Ghislaine Maxwell. I am a female. Ms. Macaulay. That's what I'm referring to, a female, and I'm asking you when you the very first time you recruited a female to work for Mr. Epstein? Ghislaine Maxwell. Again, I don't understand what female. I am a 54-year-old woman. Ms. Macaulay. I'm not making it age. Any age of a female that you recruited to work for Mr. Epstein? Ghislaine Maxwell. Again, I was somebody who hired a number of people to work for Mr. Epstein, and hiring is one of my functions. Ms. Macaulay. And when is the first time you hired someone to work for Mr. Epstein? A female? Ghislaine Maxwell. As best as I can recollect, a woman the age probably of about 40 or 50 was in sometime in 1992. Ms. Macaulay. How long did you work for Mr. Epstein? Ghislaine Maxwell. I started working for him at some point in 1992, and the nature of my work relationship with him changed over time, so from around 2002, 2003, the work lessened considerably. Ms. Macaulay. When did you? Mr. Paliuka. Can I interject for a moment? If we are talking about background. Ms. Macaulay. I'm in the middle of a question. Let me finish it, and then can you interject? Ms. Macaulay. When you say 2002 to 2003 that the work lessened, when did you complete working for Mr. Epstein? When was the last time you were employed by him? The last date? Ghislaine Maxwell. I believe I still was helping him in a very nominal way, maybe an hour or two a year at sometime 2008 and 2009. Mr. Paliuka. So if you're going to be talking about general background, I don't need to designate that as confidential. So if you want to have them come back in, That's fine. I assumed by your first question you were going into more sensitive areas. I will leave it up to you. But if this is general background, it will not be designated as confidential. Ms. Macaulay, I appreciate that. I will jump back into my other questions. Mr. Paliuka, so we will keep it as confidential. Ms. Macaulay, when you were first employed by him in 1992, what were you hired to do? Ghislaine Maxwell, first, I was consulting, and what I did was I helped with decorating houses and in hiring staff to help run those houses. Ms. Macaulay, did your duties change over the course of 1992 to 2009? Mr. Paliuka, object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, my job entailed running the homes that he had, but much more importantly, most of the houses had construction, and so whilst in 1992 there was no construction project, there was construction projects that began after that time, and I was in charge not only of hiring architects, I was also in charge of all the filings or overseeing that, like a general contractor would. I also helped with hiring the architects, hiring the builders, reviewing the contracts for the builders, coordinating the building projects, coordinating how the projects would lay out, the timing of the projects and all the various materials that they would require to run a very substantial building project. That's the nature of the job I was dealing with. Ms. Macaulay, how old was the youngest female you ever hired to work for Jeffrey? Mr. Paliuka, object to the form and foundation. Ms. Macaulay, you can answer. Ghislaine Maxwell, I have not any idea exactly of the youngest adult employee that I hired for Jeffrey. Ms. Macaulay, when you say adult employee, did you ever hire someone that was under the age of 18? Ghislaine Maxwell, never. Ms. Macaulay, did you ever bring someone who was invite someone under the age of 18 to Jeffrey's home, any of his homes? Mr. Paliuka, object to the form foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, can you repeat the question? Ms.
She sounds like a real Michelle Troconis, avoiding all responsibility, claiming she just took care of the houses and side work, but doesn't know anything.
Macaulay, did you ever invite anybody who was under the age of 18 to Jeffrey's homes? Mr. Paliuka, same objections. Ghislaine Maxwell, I have a number of friends that have children and friends of mine that have kids, and in the invitation of my friends and their kids, I'm sure I may have invited some of my friends' kids to come. Ms. Macaulay, anybody that is not a friend of yours, any female under the age of 18, did you invite them to come to Jeffrey's home? Mr. Paliuka, object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, again, as I said, I am not aware of inviting anybody other than friends of mine who have children to the house. Ms. Macaulay, did you invite Virginia Giuffre to come to Jeffrey Epstein's home when she was under the age of 18? Mr. Paliuka, object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, Virginia Roberts held herself out as a masseuse and invited herself to come and give a massage. Ms. Macaulay, my question is, did you invite Virginia Roberts when she was under the age of 18 to come to Jeffrey Epstein's home? Mr. Paliuka, object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, again, Virginia Roberts was a masseuse. Ms. Macaulay, I'm not asking if she was a masseuse. I'm asking if you invited her to come to Jeffrey Epstein's home? Ghislaine Maxwell, again, there would be no course to have a conversation with Virginia unless she held herself out to be a masseuse. Ms. Macaulay, I'm not asking that question. I'm asking if you invited her to come to Jeffrey Epstein's home when she was under the age of 18? Ghislaine Maxwell, again, I repeat, she was a masseuse, and in the form and as my job, I was to have people who he wanted for various things including massage. She came as a masseuse. Ms. Macaulay, so you invited her to his home to come to give a massage, is that correct? Mr. Paliuka, object to the form and foundation. Misstates the witness testimony. Ghislaine Maxwell, again, I did not invite Virginia Roberts. She came as a masseuse. Ms. Macaulay, she who invited her to come as a masseuse, she just showed up at the front door. Mr. Paliuka, object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, Ms. Roberts held herself out. Ms. Macaulay, I'm not asking how she held herself out. I'm asking how she arrived at the home. Did you meet her and invite her to come to the home, or how did she arrive there? Mr. Paliuka, object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, Ms. Roberts held her to be a masseuse and her mother drove her to the house. Ms. Macaulay, when did you first meet Virginia Roberts? Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't have a recollection of the first meeting. Ms. Macaulay, do you recall meeting her at Mar-a-Lago? Ghislaine Maxwell, like I said, I don't have a recollection of meeting Ms. Roberts. Ms. Macaulay, so you recall Ms. Roberts being brought to the home by her mother. Is that your testimony? Ghislaine Maxwell, that is my testimony. Ms. Macaulay, and that is the first time you met her? Ghislaine Maxwell, like I said, I don't recall meeting her the first time. I do remember her mother bringing her to the house. Ms. Macaulay, are you a member at Mar-a-Lago? Ghislaine Maxwell, no. Ms. Macaulay, Have you visited Mar-a-Lago? Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes. Ms. Macaulay. Did you visit Mar-a-Lago in the year 2000? Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm pretty sure I did. Ms. Macaulay. When Ms. Roberts arrived at the home with her mother, what happened? Ghislaine Maxwell. I spoke to her mother outside of the house and what I don't recall is exactly what happened because I was talking to her mother the entire she was in the house. Ms. Macaulay. Did you introduce Ms. Roberts to Jeffrey Epstein? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't recall how she actually met Mr. Epstein. As I said, I spoke to her mother the entire time outside the house. Ms. Macaulay. Did you walk Ms. Roberts up to the upstairs location at the Palm Beach house to meet Mr. Epstein? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ms. Macaulay. You can answer. Ghislaine Maxwell. I just explained. Ghislaine Maxwell. I spent the entire time talking to Virginia's mother outside the house, so the answer to the question is no. Ms. Macaulay. No. Did you not walk her up and introduce her to Mr. Epstein? Ghislaine Maxwell. I just said no. Ms. Macaulay. Did you participate in a massage this first time when she first came to the home and you were speaking with her mother? She was in the home? Is that correct? You brought her into the home? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I will repeat again. I was standing outside with her mother, so very difficult for me to do anything else at that time, so no, I did not take her upstairs. Ms. Macaulay. Did you participate? Ghislaine Maxwell. Virginia lied 100% about absolutely everything that took place in that first meeting. She has lied repeatedly, often, and is just an awful fantasist. So very difficult for anything to take place that she repeated because I was with her mother the entire time. Ms. Macaulay. So did you give a massage with Virginia Roberts and Mr. Epstein during the first time Virginia Roberts was at the West Palm Beach house? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ms. Macaulay. Yes or no? Ghislaine Maxwell. No. Ms. Macaulay. Have you ever given a massage with Virginia Roberts in the room and Jeffrey Epstein? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. No. Ms. Macaulay. Have you ever given Jeffrey Epstein a massage? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form, foundation, and I'm going to instruct you not to answer that question. I don't have any problem with you asking questions about what the subject matter of this lawsuit is, which would be, as you've termed it, sexual trafficking of Ms. Roberts. To the extent you are asking for information relating to any consensual adult interaction between my client and Mr. Epstein, I'm going to instruct her not to answer because it's not part of this litigation and it is her private confidential information, not subject to this deposition. Ms. Macaulay. You can instruct her not to answer. That is your right, but I will bring her back for another deposition because it is part of the subject matter of this litigation, so she should be answering these questions. This is civil litigation, deposition, and she should be responsible for answering these questions. Mr. Paliuka. I disagree and you understand the bounds that I put on it. Ms. Macaulay. No, I don't. I will continue to ask my questions and you can continue to make your objections. Ms. Macaulay. Did you ever participate from the time period of 1992 to 2009? Did you ever participate in a massage with Jeffrey Epstein and another female? Mr. Paliuka. Objection. Do not answer that question. Again, to the extent you are asking for some sort of illegal activity as you've construed in connection with this case, I don't have any problem with you asking that question. To the extent these questions involve consensual acts between adults, frankly, they're none of your business and I will instruct the witness not to answer. Ms. Macaulay. This case involves sexual trafficking, sexual abuse. Questions about her having interactions with other females is relevant to this case. She needs to answer these questions. Mr. Paliuka. I'm instructing her not to answer. Ms. Macaulay. Then we will be back here again. Ms. Macaulay. Have you ever given a massage to Mr. Epstein with a female that was under the age of 18? Ghislaine Maxwell. Can you repeat the question? Ms. Macaulay. Yes. Have you ever given a massage to Mr. Epstein with a female that was under the age of 18? Ghislaine Maxwell. No. Ms. Macaulay. Have you ever observed Mr. Epstein having a massage given by an individual, a female, who was under the age of 18? Ghislaine Maxwell. No. Ms. Macaulay. Have you ever observed females under the age of 18 in the presence of Jeffrey Epstein at his home? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. Again, I have friends that have children. Ms. Macaulay. I'm not talking about friends. I'm talking about individuals. Mr. Paliuka. I'm going to object to you interrupting the witness who was answering your question. The question was, have you ever seen anyone, female under the age of 18 at the house, and that's the question she was answering. If you want to strike that question and ask another question, feel free. But let the witness respond, please. Ms. Macaulay. I will do that. Ms. Macaulay. Have you ever observed a female under the age of 18 at Jeffrey Epstein's home that was not a friend, a child, one of your friend's children? Ghislaine Maxwell. Again, I can't testify to that because I have no idea what you are talking about. Ms. Macaulay, you have no idea what I'm talking about in the sense you never observed a female under the age of 18 at Jeffrey Epstein's home that was not one of your friend's children. Is that correct? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. How would I possibly know how someone is when they are at his house? You are asking me to do that. I cannot possibly testify to that. As far as I'm concerned, everyone who came to his house was an adult professional personal. Ms. Macaulay. Are you familiar with the police report that was issued in respect to the investigation in this matter? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ms. Macaulay. Are you familiar with the police report that was used in this matter? The investigation of Jeffrey Epstein has been produced as a document in this matter? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have seen a police report. Ms. Macaulay. The police report that you have in front of you, can you turn to page 28 of that report? The numbers are on the top right-hand corner. You will see some redactions in this report, Ms. Maxwell. The redacted information is redacted because it reveals the name of a minor, someone who is under the age of 18. On page 28, in the third paragraph, about halfway down, it says, stated she performed the massage naked. At the conclusion of this massage, Epstein paid $200 for the massage. He explained, I know you are not comfortable but I will pay you if you bring some girls. He told her the younger the better. Stated once tried to bring a 23-year-old to Epstein and he stated the female was too old. Have you heard Mr. Epstein use the phrase the younger the better? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no recollection of hearing that. Ms. Macaulay. Have you used the phrase in talking to Redacted and asking her to recruit females for Mr. Epstein, the younger the better? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation of the question. Ghislaine Maxwell. First of all, can you break the question apart? Ms. Macaulay. Have you used the phrase the younger the better in speaking to Redacted and asking her to recruit females for Jeffrey Epstein? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ms. Macaulay. You can answer. It's yes or no. Ghislaine Maxwell. No, that's absolutely not true. On the second part of your question, I have not asked Virginia to recruit females, and the first part of your question, if you can repeat that again, the question you asked. Ms. Macaulay. Will you read back the question? Ghislaine Maxwell. I believe I answered the later part of the question. The first part of the question, it's impossible for me to recall events that took place 16 years ago, but it doesn't sound like something I would say. Ms. Macaulay. On page 28, that same paragraph, Redacted was asked how many girls in total she brought to Epstein. Redacted stated that she can remember. Stated that she brought Redacted and, it's redacted there, and the victim in this case. Let me ask my question. I have a question pending right now. Are you testifying that you are unaware of any underage, under the age of 18, females coming to Jeffrey Epstein's home to perform massages? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. You need to straddle that question in a different time period. When I was there, at the time I was present, the people that gave Jeffrey, men and women who gave Jeffrey massages were adults over the age of 18. Ms. Macaulay. Never in your time at any of Jeffrey Epstein's homes were you present when a female under the age of 18 was there to give Jeffrey Epstein a massage? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. First of all, as I said when I was present. Ms. Macaulay. It is a yes or no. Ghislaine Maxwell. No, it is not. Ms. Macaulay. You can answer the question in full but please provide yes or no as an initial matter. Ghislaine Maxwell. I cannot answer yes or no. It's not bounded by time. It's entirely possible I could have been in a room or even in the vicinity of Palm Beach when somebody came and I would not know. How would I know when somebody was in the house? There is no way I can know. Ms. Macaulay. Did you stay at Jeffrey Epstein's home when you were in Palm Beach? Ghislaine Maxwell. Most of the time. Ms. Macaulay. So how is it that you wouldn't know if there was a female in the home under the age of 18 if you were staying there? Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, first of all, when I was staying there, the house is actually quite large and I have a very busy job and I had an office with a door so the door would be shut and I would be working. I'm not responsible for what Jeffrey does and I don't always pay attention to what happens in the house. I'm very busy. Ms. Macaulay. So you're testifying that you never observed a female under the age of 18 at Jeffrey Epstein's West Palm Beach home? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I already answered that question, I believe. Ms. Macaulay. You didn't answer my question. Ghislaine Maxwell. I did. Ms. Macaulay. Did you observe a female under the age of 18 at Jeffrey Epstein's home in Palm Beach? Ghislaine Maxwell. Like I said, I work. I don't sit there and watch people coming in and out of the house. I cannot possibly tell you if I'm in the home that somebody was there that I did not see. I cannot comment on it. I have no idea. Ms. Macaulay. Did you observe females at Jeffrey Epstein's home that were laying out topless in the back of the home? In other words, without a shirt on? Ghislaine Maxwell. So that's just another of Virginia's lies. So let's be clear. At the time when I was there and present, frequently at the house, it was unusual to see people without their clothes on. Ms. Macaulay, when you say unusual, did you observe people without their clothes at Jeffrey Epstein's home? Ghislaine Maxwell, can I answer? Sometimes people in the privacy of a house and swimming pool. I have seen people from time to time take their top off. I have seen people from time to time do that. Very unusual. Naked people around the people at any frequent period of time, I have never seen. Ms. Macaulay, were they under the age of 18? Ghislaine Maxwell, as I was saying, people when I was in the house were of adult age. If they were children, friends of my family or friends that were there, they may well have been because I have nieces and nephews under the age of 18. I cannot testify to anybody else, just another one of Virginia's many fictitious lies and stories to make this a salacious event to get interest in press. It's absolute rubbish. Ms. Macaulay, were you in charge of hiring individuals to provide massages for Jeffrey Epstein? Ghislaine Maxwell, my job included hiring many people. There were 6 homes. As I sit here, I hired assistants, I hired architects, I hired decorators, I hired cooks, I hired cleaners, I hired gardeners, I hired pool people, I hired pilots, I hired all sorts of people. In the course, and a very small part of my job was from time to find adult professional massage therapists for Jeffrey. Ms. Macaulay, when you say adult professional massage therapists, where did you find these massage therapists? Ghislaine Maxwell, from time to time I would visit professional spas. I would receive a massage, and if the massage was good I would ask that man or woman if they did home visits. Ms. Macaulay, did you ever hire a masseuse that was under the age of 18? Mr. Paliuka, object to the form and foundation. Ms. Macaulay, did you? Ghislaine Maxwell, again, I don't hire massage therapists, so that was not my job. Ms. Macaulay, you just said you did. You just said you hired massage therapists for Jeffrey Epstein. I'm asking if you hired a massage therapist who was under the age of 18. Ghislaine Maxwell, let me correct myself. When I meant hire, I didn't mean hire in the way you were doing it. What I say is that I went to spas and I met people, and if they did home visits, Jeffrey would then, in fact, hire them. I'm not responsible for hiring someone. And they were not full-time, so it's not a correct characterization. Ms. Macaulay, did you ever, your term is meet, did you ever meet a person that was under the age of 18 that Jeffrey then hired as a masseuse? Mr. Paliuka, object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, first of all, Virginia Roberts, who you are referring to, was a masseuse aged 17. We all now know. So your story that you keep pushing out to the press that she was a 15-year-old, you and I both know was a lie, correct? Ms. Macaulay, you are not sentencing my question. Ghislaine Maxwell, you and I both know that was a lie, correct? Ms. Macaulay, you are not answering my question. I'm asking you whether you ever met a female under the age of 18 that Jeffrey then hired as a masseuse. Mr. Paliuka, object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, the only person I can talk about who clearly was a massage age 17, a masseuse, was Virginia. Ms. Macaulay, did you meet her and then introduce her to Jeffrey? Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't know. I already testified I don't recall meeting her. Ms. Macaulay, so I'm showing you a document that we have marked as Maxwell Exhibit 2. It's a document you produced in this matter labeled Confidential GM 00109. It's dated Sunday, June 12, 2011. It's from Jeffrey Epstein to you. If you can turn to page 4, sorry, can you turn to the first page, the cover page initially, which is 00109. If you look under the timestamp, it says June 12, 2011 at 4:12 p.m. It says redacted. Is that your email address? Ghislaine Maxwell, it is. Ms. Macaulay, under that it says, thank you. I have it now and I'm working on a letter, a little. I will send the final version tomorrow and whatever it is will be factually accurate. Do you see that on page 1? Ghislaine Maxwell, I do. Ms. Macaulay, then I would like you to turn to page 4, please. The second paragraph down on page 4, it states, after some thought, I recall that I first met Ms. Roberts when she was working at a premier resort claiming to be 18 years old and a professional masseuse. Mr. Paliuka, what line are you on, counsel? Ms. Macaulay, second paragraph down. Mr. Paliuka, I got it. Ms. Macaulay, is that a statement that you wrote? Ghislaine Maxwell, it appears to be. Ms. Macaulay, so does that correct your testimony that you did meet Ms. Roberts at Mar-a-Lago? Ghislaine Maxwell, again, this was written in, when were you saying? Ms. Macaulay, 2011. Ghislaine Maxwell, so by 2011, Ms. Roberts had already perpetrated so many lies and stories it's hard for me to accurately tell you today what I remember back then. As I sit here today, the testimony I give you today, I do not recollect it. Ms. Macaulay, do you have a reason to say that this document that you wrote is incorrect? Ghislaine Maxwell, it's in 2011, I can't possibly tell you what I remember in 2011. Ms. Macaulay, Are you questioning that this document is incorrect? This document? This email that you wrote? Ghislaine Maxwell. I wrote an email. I was trying to be accurate, so who knows? With all the rubbish that you guys have put out in the press that I read, maybe in the moment I wrote it a memory came to me that I don't know. But as I sit here today and the testimony I gave you today is I don't recollect it. Ms. Macaulay. Does this refresh your recollection that you recalled meeting Ms. Roberts at Mar-a-Lago? Ghislaine Maxwell. It does not. Ms. Macaulay. So your testimony today is that you don't remember meeting Ms. Roberts at Mar-a-Lago? Ghislaine Maxwell. I do not. I just want to clarify, when you read so much stuff and so much rubbish that comes out from Virginia Roberts, you don't know what's up and down. At the time I wrote this I believe I had a memory, but as I sit here today I do not. Ms. Macaulay. Ms. Maxwell. When did you first meet Redacted? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea when I met her. Ms. Macaulay. Do you know how old she was when you met her? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea how old she was when I met her. Ms. Macaulay. Is it possible she was 13 years old when you first met her?
Please state your full name.
Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. Redacted may have been in the house when Jeffrey was in the house. I have no idea how old she was. Ms. Macaulay. I understand Redacted. I'm asking if Redacted was 13 years old when you first met her. Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea. Ms. Macaulay. Was she under 18 when you first met her? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea how old she was when I first met her. Ms. Macaulay. Did she look like a child when you first met her? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't remember what she looked like at the time she was in the house. Ms. Macaulay. How many years have you known her? Ghislaine Maxwell. I can only recall the last time I saw her. Ms. Macaulay. When was the first time you met her? Ghislaine Maxwell. Again, I just told you, I don't recall the first time I met her. Ms. Macaulay. Did Redacted travel with you on Jeffrey's planes? Ghislaine Maxwell. I wouldn't remember if Redacted was on the plane or not. Ms. Macaulay. Did you ever have sex with Redacted? Ghislaine Maxwell. No. Ms. Macaulay. Did you ever observe Jeffrey having sex with Redacted? Ghislaine Maxwell. No. Ms. Macaulay. Were you aware that Jeffrey was having sexual contact with Redacted when she was 13 years old? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I would be very shocked and surprised if that were true. Ms. Macaulay. Were you in the house when Redacted was in the house in a private area with Jeffrey Epstein? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. Can you repeat the question? Ms. Macaulay. Were you ever in the Palm Beach house when Jeffrey Epstein was in the house with Redacted? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I've already testified that I have met her and that she was there. Redacted. I don't understand what your question is asking. Ms. Macaulay. So you have never seen Redacted? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ms. Macaulay. Is that your testimony? Ghislaine Maxwell. I already said I don't recall all the times I've seen her and I have no memory of that. Ms. Macaulay. Have you ever seen Redacted in the house with Jeffrey Epstein? Redacted? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I just told you I don't recall seeing Redacted. Ms. Macaulay. Were you ever involved in an orgy with Redacted? Ghislaine Maxwell. No. Absolutely not. Ms. Macaulay. Can you tell me, do you know an individual by the name of Redacted? Ghislaine Maxwell. I do. Ms. Macaulay. How did you meet Redacted? Ghislaine Maxwell. At some point she was a friend of Jeffrey's and I recall meeting her at some point. Ms. Macaulay. Did you hire her? Ghislaine Maxwell. First of all, I don't hire girls like that, so let's be clear, I already testified to that, and I have no idea what you are referring to. Ms. Macaulay. When you say girls like that, what do you mean? Ghislaine Maxwell. I hire people who are professional at the house. You were asking if I hired somebody to do what? I don't know what you are talking about. I hired people to work in the homes. Ms. Macaulay. What was Nadia Marcinkova doing? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea what Nadia Marcinkova was doing. I didn't hire her and I don't know what you are referring to. Ms. Macaulay. You met Nadia Marcinkova? Ghislaine Maxwell. I testified I did. Ms. Macaulay. Did she work for Jeffrey Epstein? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea what she did. Ms. Macaulay. Have you flown on planes with Nadia Marcinkova? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't recollect. I don't know if I did. Ms. Macaulay. How many times have you flown on Jeffrey Epstein's planes? Ghislaine Maxwell. Too many times. Ms. Macaulay. More than 300? Ghislaine Maxwell. I really couldn't tell you how many. Ms. Macaulay. More than 400? Ghislaine Maxwell. Again, I said I cannot tell you how many. A lot. Ms. Macaulay. How many times with Redacted? Ghislaine Maxwell. I already testified. I have no idea. Ms. Macaulay. How old was Redacted when she first became involved with Jeffrey? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea. Ms. Macaulay. Was she 14? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea. Ms. Macaulay. Did she look like a child the first time you met her? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Asked and answered. Ms. Macaulay. Did she look like a child the first time you met? Redacted. Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't know what you mean if she looked like a child. Ms. Macaulay. Did she look like she was under the age of 18? Ghislaine Maxwell. No. Ms. Macaulay. Did she look like she was under the age of 16? Ghislaine Maxwell. I just testified. First of all, I couldn't tell you how old she was. She didn't like a child. Leave it at that. Ms. Macaulay. Did you know that she was a child? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I just answered I did not know how old she was and she looked like an adult. Ms. Macaulay. In the times that you traveled with her on Jeffrey Epstein's planes, did you ever ask her how old she was? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Assume as facts, not in evidence. The witness already testified she doesn't remember. Ms. Macaulay. You can answer that question. Did you ever ask her on the many flights you were with her or the many times you were with her at the house? Ghislaine Maxwell. First of all, I don't know I was on many flights with her. You are making stories up again as usual. And secondly, if I was on a flight with her, there would not be any reason why I would ask her how old she was. Ms. Macaulay. You don't recollect having any conversation with her about her age? Ghislaine Maxwell. I already testified to that. Ms. Macaulay. Do you know what redacted was hired to do for Jeffrey? Ghislaine Maxwell. I already testified I didn't know she was hired and I don't know that she did anything. I don't know how to answer that question. Ms. Macaulay. Was redacted at the house, the Palm Beach house, when you were present at that house? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no recollection of her being. Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no recollection of her being. Ms. Macaulay. I'm showing you what's been marked as Maxwell 21. It's an email dated January 21, 2015 from Jeffrey to you. Is that? You can take a moment to take a look at it. Is that a statement that Jeffrey Epstein wrote for you to be issued to the press? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. The question was? Ms. Macaulay. Is this a statement that Jeffrey Epstein wrote for you to be issued to the press? Mr. Paliuka. Same objection. Ghislaine Maxwell. Is there any other emails that you have that surround this that would allow me to know what? Does this have a context? Ms. Macaulay. These were produced by your counsel so that to extent there are emails that surround this is what we were given. Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay. I don't know whether he wrote this. Obviously he wrote this and sent this to me. I don't know if this is post a phone call we had. I can't recollect exactly. Ms. Macaulay. Do you know if this was issued to the press, this statement? Ghislaine Maxwell. The only press statement that was issued is the one that you have. Ms. Macaulay. When the paragraph refers to you being in a very long-term committed relationship with another man, who was that other man? Mr. Paliuka. You don't have to answer the question. Ms. Macaulay. I'm asking the identity of a witness in a statement she is giving. Mr. Paliuka. She didn't give the statement. Ms. Macaulay. Jeffrey is writing to her. I'm asking who is he is referencing to a long-term relationship. You are going to refuse to let her answer that question. Mr. Paliuka. Yes. Ms. Macaulay. I would like to state for the record he is refusing to allow her to identify a potential witness in this litigation. So we will be back to get the answer to that question. Ms. Macaulay. Do you recall when you were traveling with Virginia Roberts that you would be responsible for holding her passport? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I already testified I don't recall traveling with Virginia. Ms. Macaulay. Do you recall whether Jeffrey Epstein, when he was traveling with a minor, someone under the age of 18, someone would hold their passport? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form. Ghislaine Maxwell. I couldn't testify to what Jeffrey did or didn't do. Ms. Macaulay. You never observed him gathering a minor's passport and holding it during one of the trips you were on? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't have a recollection of that. Ms. Macaulay. Are you familiar with a company called Hyperion Air Incorporated? Ghislaine Maxwell. I am. Ms. Macaulay. Is that a company you are affiliated with? Ghislaine Maxwell. No. Ms. Macaulay. Is that a company that Jeffrey owns? Ghislaine Maxwell. I knew it back in 2001, back when I was working. I have no idea what that is today. Ms. Macaulay. What about Jedge? Are you familiar with that company, Jedge Incorporated? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't recall it. Ms. Macaulay. You don't recall? Ghislaine Maxwell. It vaguely rings a bell. I don't remember what it relates to. Ms. Macaulay. What about J. Epstein Virgin Islands Foundation Incorporated? Are you familiar with that company? Ghislaine Maxwell. No. Ms. Macaulay. How did J. Epstein and Company Incorporated? Ghislaine Maxwell. Again, I don't recall his business names and affiliations. Ms. Macaulay. How about Ness LLC? Are you familiar with that name? Ghislaine Maxwell. Again, I think that was one of his businesses, but I don't recall. M.S. Macaulay. Do you know what that business did? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't. M.S. Macaulay. How about New York Strategy Group Incorporated? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't know. M.S. Macaulay. What about Ghislaine Maxwell Company? Are you familiar with that company? Ghislaine Maxwell. I never heard of that. M.S. Macaulay. Is that a company you are on record as being either a board member of or having a position of authority in? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I've never heard of the business. M.S. Macaulay. What negative, unflattering, private or potentially embarrassing information does Jeffrey Epstein know about you? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I imagine none. M.S. Macaulay. Does he know? Does he have any knowledge of any illegal activity that you've conducted? Mr. Paliuka. Object to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. If you want to ask Jeffrey questions about me, you would have to ask him. M.S. Macaulay. Have you ever been involved in any illegal activity in your lifetime? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I can't think of anything I have done that is illegal. M.S. Macaulay. Have you ever been arrested? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have a DUI in the UK a long time ago. M.S. Macaulay. Is that the only arrest you have on your record? Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes. M.S. Macaulay. I will mark as Maxwell 22 this email. M.S. Macaulay. This is dated January 21, 2015. It's from Jeffrey Epstein to you, forwarding The Guardian, and I would like you to look at the chain of emails so you understand have an appreciation for who is on this. It's a 3-page document. The bottom of the email appears to be a message from, at the very bottom there is the signature block for redacted, and above that there is a message from a redacted. Do you see that? Ghislaine Maxwell. M.S. Macaulay. Do you know who redacted is? Ghislaine Maxwell. I do not. M.S. Macaulay. Above that there is a message from redacted and you, and it says, so this isn't getting better. Latest from our chums at The Guardian, and above that you will see on January 21st an email from you where you wrote, see below. And right above that chain you will see Jeffrey Epstein to you on January 21st, and his statement to you is, this will _roll now end, but I think a dismissive statement is okay. What did he mean by his statement? This will now end. Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea. M.S. Macaulay. Did you discuss with him what he meant by the statement, this will now end? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't recall. M.S. Macaulay. Was he taking any action to ensure that, quote, this will now end? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea. M.S. Macaulay. This is an email from, if you look at the chain at the top, you will see it's from you to Jeffrey on January 27th, and the email at the bottom of the chain is from Jeffrey to you on January 27th. He states, what happened to you in your statement? Question mark. And you put at the top, I have not decided what to do. Ghislaine Maxwell. M.S. Macaulay. Why was Jeffrey interested in you making a statement to the press? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't know that he was interested. We made a statement and then I was being advised to make an additional statement and I never did. M.S. Macaulay. Was Jeffrey communicating with you regularly on what additional statement you might make? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. No, I've communicated with him very little, as little as possible. M.S. Macaulay. Why did you feel you had to keep him informed of statements you were making to the press? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I didn't feel I had to. M.S. Macaulay. Then why you were communicating with him about statements you were making to the press? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. Insofar as this is the case, it's really all about Jeffrey. It's not a case about me. M.S. Macaulay. In 2009, did you direct your lawyer, either directly or indirectly, to tell Brad Edwards that you were unavailable to attend a deposition? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. And this is a privileged communication, as I understand the question, what someone said or didn't say to their lawyer. So don't answer the question. M.S. Macaulay. Can you answer that question without revealing a privileged communication? Ghislaine Maxwell. Can you ask the question again? M.S. Macaulay. In 2009, did you direct your lawyer to tell Brad Edwards that you were unavailable to attend a deposition? Mr. Paliuka. Same instruction. M.S. Macaulay. Did you make any statement in 2009 to anybody that you were unavailable to attend a deposition? Ghislaine Maxwell. My mother was sick and I don't recall exactly the sequence of events, but what sequence of events do exist was handled by my lawyers. M.S. Macaulay. What is your understanding of Jeffrey Epstein's non-prosecution agreement? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea. M.S. Macaulay. Do you have an understanding of the co-conspirators listed in the non-prosecution agreement? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no knowledge of his agreement, whatever that is. Ms. Macaulay. Do you know, you mentioned earlier today that Redacted was one of the listed co-conspirators. Do you know who the other co-conspirators are in the non-prosecution agreement? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I do not know. Ms. Macaulay. What did Jeffrey Epstein tell you about the non-prosecution agreement? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't think I've ever discussed it with him. Ms. Macaulay. How did you come to learn that Redacted was covered by the non-prosecution agreement? Ghislaine Maxwell. I believe I read it in the press. Ms. Macaulay. Did you have any discussions with Redacted about the non-prosecution agreement? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have not had any discussions with Redacted. Ms. Macaulay. When is the last time you spoke to Redacted? Ghislaine Maxwell. Maybe 2005, 2006 maybe. Ms. Macaulay. And same with Redacted. When is the last time you recall speaking with Redacted? Ghislaine Maxwell. Probably even more time before that. Maybe. I've never had communications really with Redacted. Ms. Macaulay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Ghislaine Maxwell. I never had communications with her. Ms. Macaulay. You were working for Jeffrey at the same time Redacted was also working for Jeffrey. Isn't that correct? Ghislaine Maxwell. I didn't know what Redacted did for Jeffrey, so I didn't characterize what her relationship or work or not was, and I was still helping him with his construction projects and the like, but I never crossed paths with Redacted. Ms. Macaulay. What did you think Redacted was doing for Jeffrey? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea what Redacted was doing for Jeffrey. Ms. Macaulay. Did you observe Redacted at any of Jeffrey's houses while you were there? Ghislaine Maxwell. She was at the house on occasion. Ms. Macaulay. What would she be doing there? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea. Ms. Macaulay. Did you know if she lived at his houses? Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea. Ms. Macaulay. Did you ever go into a bedroom and see her belongings at one of the houses? Ghislaine Maxwell. Not that I recall. No. Ms. Macaulay. I'm going to mark this as Maxwell Exhibit 24. Ms. Macaulay. You can see at the top of the first page, which is GM001. It's dated January 3, 2015 from you to the Redacted. Is that who we referred to today? Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes. Ms. Macaulay. And can you tell me, it says, have some info. Call me when you have a moment. What is Redacted there? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't recall. I'm sorry. Ms. Macaulay. Do you know why there is a redaction on this document? Ghislaine Maxwell. You would have to confer with my lawyers. Ms. Macaulay. What did you discuss on that call? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't have any specific knowledge of that call. Ms. Macaulay. So the call is being made on Saturday, January 3, 2015? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ms. Macaulay. The document states, it's Saturday, January 3, 2015. You issued your press release on January 2, 2015. Were you discussing with Redacted the subject of Virginia Roberts during these calls? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't know if I spoke to him. Ms. Macaulay. I would like you to turn to GM002 and the bottom chain says Redacted, Saturday, January 3rd, to re. And he says let me know when we can talk. Got some specific questions to ask you about Virginia Roberts. Do you recall having a conversation with Redacted about Virginia Roberts in or around early January of 2015? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't know if we actually spoke. Ms. Macaulay. Did you ever speak to Redacted about Virginia Roberts after you issued your statement on January 2, 2015? Ghislaine Maxwell. I know that we did speak at some point, but I don't recollect when we spoke. Ms. Macaulay. What did you talk about? Ghislaine Maxwell. Just what a liar she is. Ms. Macaulay. What did he say to you? Ghislaine Maxwell. What a liar she is. Ms. Macaulay. Did he tell you why he thought she was a liar? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't think he told me why she was a liar. The substance of everything that she said was a lie with regard to him. Ms. Macaulay. What did you say to him? Ghislaine Maxwell. She is a liar. Ms. Macaulay. That was the whole conversation. It was you said to him, she is a liar, and he said to you she say liar, and did you discuss any of the details about what those lies were? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't recollect. Ms. Macaulay. Was that only one conversation you had? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't recollect. I don't recollect actually the conversation, but other than we both said she was a liar. Ms. Macaulay. Do you regularly communicate with Redacted? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. What do you mean by regularly? Ms. Macaulay. Do you email with him once a month, once every 2 months, or text him or call him? Ghislaine Maxwell. No, we are not in that type of regular touch. Ms. Macaulay. Do you travel with him regularly? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't know. I have traveled with him. We have traveled together but regularly is not a correct characterization. Ms. Macaulay. Do you travel with him more than once a year? Ghislaine Maxwell. There is no standard. There is no set pattern. The answer to that was no. Ms. Macaulay. Have you ever observed him with any underage, any women, female under the age of 18, interacting? That's not a child or a family friend. Interacting for the purposes of a sexual relationship with that individual? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I've never seen redacted interact in any way of that nature. Ms. Macaulay. Have you ever gone to dinner with him with any individual under the age of 18 that's not a family member or friend of yours that is under the age of 18? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. We've been to dinner all the time. I am not sure who is at dinner with us. I can't testify to that. Ms. Macaulay. Has he ever brought a female under the age 18 that's not a relative of his? Ghislaine Maxwell. He has children. Ms. Macaulay. I said not relatives. Ghislaine Maxwell. I can't possibly testify to who he comes to dinner with. I wouldn't recall. Ms. Macaulay. To your knowledge, has he ever had a relationship with any female under the age of 18 for purposes of a romantic relationship to your knowledge? Ghislaine Maxwell. I can't testify to redacted relationship. Ms. Macaulay. You haven't observed that. Ghislaine Maxwell. No. Ms. Macaulay. Have you talked to redacted about coming to testify at trial in this case? Ghislaine Maxwell. No. Ms. Macaulay. When was the last time you communicated with redacted? Ghislaine Maxwell. 1994, 1995. Ms. Macaulay. I believe earlier. Did you say that you? When is the last time you've been to his home in redacted? Ghislaine Maxwell. I said. You asked me if I stayed the night. Ms. Macaulay. I'm asking you a different question. When is the last time you have been to his home in redacted? Ghislaine Maxwell. Roughly the same time, in the middle of the 90s sometime, mid-90s. Ms. Macaulay. Not in the years 2000 to 2002? Ghislaine Maxwell. Mid-90s. Ms. Macaulay. Have you ever communicated with any representative of redacted? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, I've been to his, in the mid-90s. I would have communicated with people who worked for him. Ms. Macaulay. Have you communicated with redacted about this case? Ghislaine Maxwell. No. Ms. Macaulay. Have you ever seen a topless female at any one of Jeffrey Epstein's properties? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. You've asked this question, by the way, earlier on today. Ghislaine Maxwell. Again, I testified that there are people who from time to time in the privacy of a swimming pool have maybe taken a bikini top off or something, but it's not common, and certainly when I was at the house I don't really recollect seeing that kind of activity. Ms. Macaulay. Have you ever smoked cigarettes? Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes. Ms. Macaulay. Have you ever smoked cigarettes with Virginia Roberts? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't recall smoking cigarettes with Virginia Roberts. Ms. Macaulay. I'm marking this as Maxwell 25. Ms. Macaulay. I'm showing you what has been marked as Maxwell 25. This is an email dated January 11, 2015 at the top. Do you see that from Jeffrey to you? Ghislaine Maxwell. Ms. Macaulay. And then below there is an email from redacted to you and ceasing redacted on January 11, 2015. Do you see that? Ghislaine Maxwell. Ms. Macaulay. It says, Dear Ghislaine, as you know I have been working behind the scenes and this article comes from that. It helps but doesn't answer the VR claims. I will get the criminal allegations out. This shows the MOS will print truth, not just a VR voice piece. We can only make the truth by making a statement. What did he mean when he said, I will get the criminal allegations out? What was he referring to? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea. Ms. Macaulay. Were there criminal allegations about Virginia that either your lawyer or redacted were leaking to the press? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no idea. Ms. Macaulay. Did you ask him what he meant when he said, I will get the criminal allegations out? Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't recollect the conversation. Ms. Macaulay. Did you direct him to leak to the press criminal allegations about Virginia Roberts? Ghislaine Maxwell. I already testified that I have no knowledge of what you were asking me. Ms. Macaulay. Were you copied on this email, correct? Ghislaine Maxwell. I was. Ms. Macaulay. Did Jeffrey Epstein assist in obtaining information about criminal allegations relating to Virginia Roberts? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no recollection. Ms. Macaulay. Did redacted assist in obtaining information regarding criminal allegations of Virginia Roberts? Mr. Paliuka. Objection to form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell. I have no knowledge of that. Ms. Macaulay. Did you ever discuss that with redacted? Ghislaine Maxwell. Discuss what? Ms. Macaulay. Criminal allegations about Virginia Roberts. Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't believe I have. Ms. Macaulay, have you ever discussed allegations relating to Ms. Macaulay? Do you know if Jeffrey Epstein had any relationship with the U.S. government, either working for the CIA or the FBI in his lifetime? Mr. Paliuka, objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, I have no knowledge of that. Ms. Macaulay, do you know if Jeffrey Epstein has any friends that are in the CIA or FBI? Mr. Paliuka, objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, I have no idea. Ms. Macaulay, are you aware of an investigation of Jeffrey Epstein in the early 80s relating to the SEC? Mr. Paliuka, objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, I have no knowledge of that. Ms. Macaulay, are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein has told people that he worked for the government to recover stolen funds? Mr. Paliuka, objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't recall conversations about that. Ms. Macaulay, has he ever told that he worked for the U.S. government? Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't recollect that. Ms. Macaulay, you don't recollect, or has he never told you that? Ghislaine Maxwell, I have no knowledge, I don't recollect him telling me he worked for the government. Ms. Macaulay, does Jeffrey Epstein have any affiliation with the Israeli government? Mr. Paliuka, objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, I have no knowledge of that. Ms. Macaulay, do you know if he ever performed any work for the Israeli government? Ghislaine Maxwell, I have no knowledge of that. Ms. Macaulay, have you ever visited Israel with Jeffrey Epstein? Ghislaine Maxwell, I'm sorry, I don't recollect. Ms. Macaulay, you've seen the flight logs that I provided you today. Are there, during the time you worked for Jeffrey Epstein, were there times that you flew on commercial flights rather than Jeffrey Epstein's planes? Ghislaine Maxwell, yes. Ms. Macaulay, how often did that occur? Ghislaine Maxwell, decently. Ms. Macaulay, were there other flights that you recall flying on with Jeffrey Epstein that were on flights where redacted was not the pilot? Ghislaine Maxwell, redacted was not always the pilot. Ms. Macaulay, how many planes did Jeffrey Epstein have during the time you were with him? Mr. Paliuka, objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, so you need to give me a date range. Ms. Macaulay, during the time period of 1992 through when you left your employment, which I think you said was in 2009? Ghislaine Maxwell, so in the 90s he had one plane, and at some point in the 2000s he had two planes, but I can't testify to anything past 2002, 2003. What happened to his planes after that? Ms. Macaulay, do you know what travel agency, if any, Jeffrey would use when he would send someone, for example, you or one of his other employees on a flight somewhere? Did he use a particular travel agency to make those arrangements? Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't recall. Ms. Macaulay, were you ever responsible for making those arrangements for other individuals? Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't recall making flight arrangements. Ms. Macaulay, was it a New York travel agent that you would use for those arrangements? Ghislaine Maxwell, again, we are talking 16, 17, 18 years. I just don't recall anything to do with travel agents. Ms. Macaulay, would Jeffrey Epstein ever fly, for example, on a commercial flight redacted to meet you in New Mexico? Mr. Paliuka, objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, I can't testify to that. Ms. Macaulay, do you recall a trip where you met redacted in New Mexico? Ghislaine Maxwell, no, I don't recall any specific trip, no. Ms. Macaulay, why would you be sent to New Mexico? Is there a reason why you would go there in the course of the work you were doing for Jeffrey? Mr. Paliuka, objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, I was never sent. I had a job to do and I would have to go to New Mexico for work. Ms. Macaulay, would redacted assist in that project? Mr. Paliuka, objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, no, the project was largely complete by the end. I don't remember the dates exactly, but it was largely complete by the 1990s, 2000s. Ms. Macaulay, do you know why redacted would be going to New Mexico to meet you? Mr. Paliuka, objection to the form and foundation. Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't know. She worked for Jeffrey. Mr. Paliuka, I think we are out of time, counsel. The videographer, it's true. Ms. Macaulay, I will state for the record there were questions today that remain unanswered because the witness has been instructed not to answer those questions, and we will be raising our objections with the court to be able to have those questions answered in the near future. Mr. Paliuka, so we are clear, we are designating this entire deposition as confidential under the protective order. That would cover the paralegal who's been present as well as the court reporter and the videographer and all the lawyers in the room. The videographer, this concludes today's proceedings. We are off the record at 6:43 p.m.
Name.
I'm Jeffrey Edward Epstein, and my residence address is 6100 Red Hook Boulevard in Virgin Islands.
Do you maintain any other residences presently?
I have vacation homes in New Mexico, Palm Beach, New York, and Paris.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
What was the crime of which you were convicted?
Two counts, one soliciting prostitution and procuring a minor for prostitution.
Did you in fact commit those acts?
I'm going to invoke my Fifth Amendment right.
How many times have you solicited a minor for prostitution?
Same answer.
How many times have you solicited a minor for prostitution in the state of Florida?
Same answer.
Have you ever solicited a minor for prostitution in the Virgin Islands?
Same answer.
That is, you are invoking your Fifth Amendment.
Yes,
right?
Yes, Mr. Scroll.
Have you ever solicited for prostitution in New York?
Same answer.
Have you ever solicited for prostitution in New Mexico?
Same answer.
Have you ever solicited for prostitution in Paris?
Same answer.
Have you ever solicited a minor for prostitution anywhere at any time?
Again, I'm going to assert my right.
Did you ever? We're going to go off the record. So you are terminating the deposition at this time? Please state your.
Well, that is the transcript. Let us end tonight. Well, no, before we end, we need to hear Koberger rap one more time.
Always the same thing that disrupts my life. Wonder when I'll change. I guess when the time is right, procrastinating my deranged to change would be a fight. So I'm passing this like I'm afraid to get a bloody fist. Look at this, my mind is pissed and I keep running. Why is this? When I hit it, always leave them stunning. Always gentle giant, no defiance, all building alliance and still think that I am peasant. I stuck in the future, but I'm never looking at the fucking present. Keep it up, act like you're all that. Here's a cookie too and a present. Led from a desert eagle, Eagles going louder than my motherfucking deagle. And your life, you get no sequel. Leave you loved ones crying like some seagulls. You are not my equal, you are evil, but I'm feeble. And now I'm going regal. Don't fuck with us. Hope you learn your lesson. Next song music.
Don't fuck with us. I hope you learned your lesson. I mean, for a woman that didn't remember much in this deposition back in 2016, it's almost like a miracle. All of a sudden in 2025, she starts remembering shit. We're going to continue pulling the thread on this. Irina has more documents, videos, etc. I felt kind of absent today without the Koberger supplements. I need more Koberger supplements, and I ADHD redirected. I pivoted and I went to read these because I'm seeing a lot on X and social media, obviously with the partial immunity and people speculating that she's going to get perhaps a full pardon. So I wanted to go see what was available. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of video from these. So that Epstein one, and there's been some other ones from like Midas Touch on X, but you can't get the full set. Like I can't find the full video. So we continue hunting for any information on this case. Thanks for joining us on Saturday. I see some new subscribers. Thank you very much for subscribing. If you could leave your DNA on that like button, it would be appreciated. And before we go, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I got time. Hold on. I'm going to be looking at the Koberger video soon. I don't know if I can fade to this.
Recording.
Pause because it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But as I was looking today, I realized when we originally did this, like, I didn't realize this until today, that the states, like Idaho Statesman or whatever they're called, they released the video in wide format. And I thought, because typically body cam footage is wide screen format, 16:9, but it looks like the original video, and you can tell here at portions of their video, you don't see the utility or the time. And then at other portions, like you do. So fast forward here.
Hello.
Put it on full screen. So here. So they actually edited and cropped the video and explain why that's important on the next stream. I've been still looking for answers on these 2 stops in Indiana. And maybe it doesn't make a difference to you guys, but it makes a difference to me. They cropped the video to make it look like it was widescreen, but looks like the first stop, not the stop by the state trooper, but the Hancock County stop, is in this format on the left, which is called TikTok format. So I don't know. I got some ideas, but nonetheless, it's Saturday night. OP Live is on. I appreciate you guys coming in tonight and coming to hang out. Thank you for the moderators all this week for modding. Thank you to the new subs. Thank you for liking these videos, and appreciate the super chats and super stickers as they came in. We will see you soon, maybe tomorrow, maybe not, maybe Monday, maybe not. Have a good night, everyone. Be kind to each other.